All right, let's get right into this. We're about to become geological detectives. Our crime scene? The coast of Northern California. And the mystery? Well, it's a violent secret that's been hiding in the ground for over 5 million years. So I want you to just picture this for a second. What if the ground right under your feet, what you assume is totally solid, suddenly just dropped? I'm talking a full 3 feet gone in an instant. Not some slow sinking, but a violent, stomach-lurching plunge. It sounds like something out of a disaster movie, right? But this isn't fiction. It's real, and we have the evidence to prove it. Because up in the tidal marshes of Northern California, that's exactly what's happened. And not just once, it's happened again and again. You see, scientists have found these incredible clues, almost like geological fingerprints, that tell a story of unimaginable violence, written right there in the layers of mud and earth. So, let's start our investigation right at the crime scene, this sinking coastline. The amazing part is, the evidence isn't hidden away in some old book. Nope, it's right there, just beneath the surface.
Okay, so what did they find? Well, scientists drilled these long core samples out of the mud in Humboldt Bay, and they saw this really strange repeating pattern. Imagine a layer of rich, dark soil from a healthy marsh full of plant roots, and then bam, right on top of it, with no warning, a thick layer of plain old tidal mud. It's such a sharp, clean line. It tells you this wasn't a slow change. It's the geological signature of a place that was alive and well 1 minute and then instantly plunged underwater, drowned by the sea.
And geologists know exactly what this means. As this research puts it, these layers are a direct record of something called a megathrust earthquake. These are the biggest, most powerful earthquakes on the planet. They happen at subduction zones, which is just a spot where one of the Earth's huge tectonic plates is diving underneath another one. So every single one of those sharp lines in the mud is like the ghost of an ancient, massive cataclysm.
So how many of these ghosts are there? Well, by carefully dating these layers, scientists have figured out that this has happened 4 times. 4 distinct, massive earthquakes have slammed this coastline downwards. And get this, it's all been in just the last 1,700 years. That's a blink of an eye in geologic time.
Which of course brings us to the big question, right? What in the world is doing this? What kind of colossal, unimaginable force has enough power to make the California coast drop repeatedly? It's time to find our prime suspect.
And to find that culprit, we have to zoom way out. We need to look at the entire tectonic crime scene.
And here it is. This is our culprit, the Mendocino Triple Junction. Now, this isn't your average fault line. Oh no, this is one of the most violent and energetic spots on the entire planet. It's a very rare place where 3 of Earth's massive tectonic plates, the Pacific, the North American, and the Gorda plates, are all crashing into each other at the same time.
The best way to think about it is like a 3-way car crash happening in geological slow motion. You've got the Pacific plate grinding northwest. At the same time, the North American plate is moving southeast. And then there's the little Gorda plate, which is getting squeezed between the 2 big guys and is being forced to dive or subduct right underneath North America. And if that wasn't chaotic enough, this whole mess, this entire intersection of destruction, is slowly but surely marching north, right up the California coast. This thing is the engine behind all that sinking.
So, to really understand our suspect, we need to look at its past behavior. We're going to open up the cold case files, so to speak. And these files, they're not written on paper. They're written in millions of years of rock. All right, let's go way back. If you look at the geological record, between 2 and 3 million years ago, the coastline was actually building itself up, pushing out into the sea. Then, about 1 million years ago, things changed. A huge part of that new land got pushed up and then eroded away. But the real game changer, the main event, was about 500,000 years ago. That's when our suspect, the Mendocino Triple Junction, finally arrived on the scene. And it just completely reshaped everything, causing massive uplift and tilting the whole landscape on its side.
And this comparison shows you just how dramatic that was. So before the Triple Junction showed up, you had rivers flowing through the area, dropping off sediment pretty evenly, building up the land. But then, after the junction arrived,
The whole southern half of the area got shoved violently upwards and tilted. It basically created a new mountain range out of nowhere. This completely blocked the old rivers, forcing them to find a new path, either flowing north or just dumping all their sediment out into the deep ocean. The Triple Junction didn't just change the landscape, it literally redrew the map.
Okay, so we've seen the suspect's MO, its long history of destruction. Now let's zoom back into the present day, or the last couple thousand years, and look again at those 4 ancient cataclysms we found in the marsh. It's time to connect the dots.
Here's the rap sheet. The most recent big one was that legendary Cascadia earthquake back in the year 1700. That one dropped the coastline almost 3 feet. But look at the history before that. There was another one about 875 years ago, one around 1120 years ago, and then a real monster quake about 1620 years ago that sank the coast by at least 3 feet, maybe more. These are just massive events.
But when you lay them all out side by side like this, something really jumps out at you, doesn't it? Look at that quake from about 875 years ago. The amount of sinking was less than half of what happened in the other big quakes. Now, this is a super important clue. It tells us that not all of these megathrust earthquakes are the same. Some are just big, and others are absolute monsters. The impact can be wildly different.
So this all brings us right up to today. Because I want to be really clear about this. This is not just a history lesson. This story is still being written. This massive geological battle is happening as we speak, and it is actively shaping the future of California.
Right now, today, this one spot is a literal battleground for 3 different tectonic forces all at once. Out to the west, you still have the Gorda Plate diving under the continent, which is squeezing the coastline. Then from the south, you have the Triple Junction itself continuing its relentless march northward, compressing and twisting the land. And then from the northeast, you have the famous San Andreas Fault System trying to push its way up, creating faults where the land grinds sideways. It is, no exaggeration, a full-blown, 3-way tectonic war.
So as this whole chaotic junction keeps marching north year after year, the pressure is just building and building. The same forces that have dropped the ground by 3 feet in the past are still there. They're getting stronger. So the real question isn't if another chapter is going to be written in this violent story. The question is when, and what will that next chapter look like?